An investigation by the Economic Confidential magazine shows that 15 states in Nigeria will go bankrupt soon, as their internally generated revenues in 2015 were far below the 10% of their federation account allocations. This was from June 2015 to May of 2016. Welcome to Pointblank. Today, as you can see, I'm going to be talking about IGR, which is the internally generated revenues by Nigerian states. It is a big issue in our economy, as the President Buhari is trying very hard to kind of, I'll use the word resuscitate our dying economy. But this report by the Economic Confidential magazine is kind of alarming, and that is why I'm bringing it to you today. Again, welcome to Point Blank. My name is Patrick Omosagi. I'll take a quick break and I'll be right back to deal with this issue. So what is an IGR, internally generated revenue? This is the revenue that state governments generate within the areas of their jurisdiction. The various sources of internal revenue available to state governments include taxes, fines, fees, license earnings and sales, rent on government properties, interest and dividends, among others. The capacity of a state government to generate revenue internally is a crucial consideration for the creation of a state government. That's a simple definition of IGRs. But like I said in my opening, 15 states in Nigeria might go bankrupt because they don't generate enough revenues internally. They rely solely on the federal government allocations. Lagos state government has the highest IGR in the country. What Lagos state generates, 32 other states outside Delta, Rivers, and Ogun State is what Lagos generates. 32 other states are just catching up with Lagos State in internally generated revenues. So we can see the problem. But I'm not trying here to tell you what the problems. We all know. Every Nigerian knows that where our economy is in trouble because we have relied solely on what? Oil. But does Ogun State, do they have oil? No. Rivers has oil. Delta has oil. Does Lagos State do they have oil? No, they don't. So what is it with Lagos, Rivers, Delta, and Ogun? Those are the 4 top states that generate the most money internally for their states to use. Here is what we need to look at. Are some of these states viable when they created them? Was Yobe State a viable state to have been created? I don't think so. Yobe is at the bottom of the pit. It creates absolutely no revenue internally. It relies solely on the federal government. Was Edo State viable when it was created? Edo State is actually number 5 on the money it generates internally. But how does Edo State generate money? I pick Edo State because when I do go back home, that's my home state. And they charge all types of monies. If your tire is worn out, they'll fine you. If you have no, what they call that thing, fire extinguisher in your car, you'll be fined. They have found ways to fine people, but can fines really sustain an economy? Taxes is really the bulk, or should be the bulk of internally generated revenues. Taxes. Taxes on who? Companies and on individuals who work. That is what should generate money. I will come back and explain that a little bit further because I think a lot of people don't understand the economics of a nation or the financial economics of a nation. I'm not an economist. I'm not going to pretend to play one. But I do understand why the country is in some trouble. So we'll take another quick break, make some money through advertising, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Point Blank this Thursday. My name is Patrick Osagi. My Twitter handle is PJ Osagi. You can also tweet at the program at #PointBlank and watch us anytime, anywhere on MBCLiveTV.com. Today we're dealing with a very, very, very important subject, which is the IGR, internally generated revenues. States generate revenues for their own survival. The federal government also generates revenues, but the federal government generates most of its revenues from what? From oil. That's about all we generate, oil. I've spoken to many people that tell me, I don't know when I paid taxes last. You don't pay taxes? How then do you expect the government to survive? But he'll tell me, I don't have a job. So why would I pay taxes when I don't have a job? So you see, all these go hand in hand. What you do in an economy has to be a bigger picture. So let me go back to what I said about Ogun State. Ogun State has no oil, but it's number 4 in generating revenues for its state in the country. It's number 4. Ogun State also has a pretty small population. So how come Ogun State generates that much that it's a number 4? Because it has industrial complexes. It's close to Lagos, which is a commercial nerve center of the country. So there are a lot of businesses that have located in Ogun State, in Ota in particular. Because they're close to a commercial nerve point of the country, it's a reasonable thing to do. Those people have to pay taxes in Ogun State. Just not the workers, but the businesses too. And that's why Ogun State is right there at the top. For Delta and Rivers, it's almost the same thing. They have oil companies that are there, so they pay taxes. Then the workers pay taxes. So they have enough to generate. They have state taxes. And then remember, they have to live there. They have to eat there. They have to pay fines if they do the wrong thing. So where there is money, you are likely to generate revenue. Well, let's look at Kano. Kano is the largest state in the country. Or Kano and Lagos, tied somehow as the largest in the country, population-wise. Kano is all the way at number 10 in internally generated revenues. Kano. Kano's the seat of the north. They used to have a lot of things they produce, both agricultural and a lot of other industrial things like they produced materials, clothing. I used to remember that, I'm not saying Aswani was there, but we had a lot of things being done and produced in Kano. What has happened? Don't these companies exist anymore? Or don't these companies pay taxes? That's a question that has to be answered by the people of Kano or the government of Kano. But for some reason, Kano is way at number 10 and it has a very, very high population. So how does Kano survive when it's completely reliant on the federal government allocation? But again, this is not to bash any state. This is to put these points ahead or across to you as a viewer, as a Nigerian, to look at really where the problems of the country lies. We're having issues making money as a people. And if the people don't make money, the country has no money. It's been my argument for a long time. People always say, oh, we have oil, so that means we have money. No. If the people don't have money, the country has no money. I'll come back and explain that to you. Again, you can tweet at me at PJ Osage. I'd very much like to receive your tweets and comments, or even questions. I want to be interactive. I want to get back. I want you to get at me so we can have this discussion further. Tweet at me at PJ Osage. I'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Point Blank this Thursday evening, and on the line with me now is Mr. Joachim. He's been a regular on this program before. We've had him on before, but this time I'm bringing him on because, I think this is something, you don't have to be an economist, you don't have to be in the financial market, you just have to be a Nigerian to understand what we're talking about when it comes to internally generated revenues. Mr. Joachim, welcome to Point Blank this Thursday evening.
Patrick, it's nice being with you once again.
Look, let me ask you the very simple, straightforward question. Why do we have very low internally generated revenues in Nigerian states?
I think the reasons are diverse. First of all, we have an economy that is not built on production. And once you have an economy as a country that is not built on production, then who do you expect to pay the tax? Two, you have an economy that is not integrated. How do you monitor the way people make their money to the extent where you can pay the tax? Even the police, because we do not have an advanced, integrated information database about Nigerians as individuals, even revenues that can come from fines, penalty, road, all of that kind of a thing, you find out that it's also absent. And finally, and above all, remember something about Nigeria. Every law is an opportunity for one person outside the government to make some extra bucks in his pocket. So that is what you now have in Nigeria. We have big men who are driving large and flush cars and enjoying themselves. They look big by picture. But if you go to IRS or the Federal Internal Revenue or the Federal Inland Revenue Service, go and bring out their papers and check how much tax do they pay? They do not pay much tax. Then when you go to the corporate, when you go to the industries are located in states like Lagos, Ogun State, because it's close to Lagos. In Port Harcourt, you don't really have industry. Outside the oil industry, you do not have any other thing. If you go to the north, where in the past you had the big textile industries and everything, they are all gone. So when we begin to we do what I call a rethinking as the people, as Nigerians, to do a rethinking. I think we have a long way to go, especially in this area. And above all of this has spoken to you. There's one critical thing that you must understand, that our politics in Nigeria is a result of what, because people don't pay tax, they don't care what happens.
Okay, let me jump in there and ask you this, because you really focused on taxes and even maybe the corruption that might surround taxes or taxing Nigerians too. I mean, because you kind of alluded to that, always with every law we have in Nigeria, there are always loopholes and all that people can exploit and all that. But if you've been following the news lately in Nigeria, you've actually seen the corporation that is supposed to look after big businesses in Nigeria. I think it is called AMCO or something, that has taken over a couple of Nigerian businesses. Silverbird as a corporation has been taken over, and I think a few other businesses because of their massive debt to banks. So I'm sure this is the kind of loopholes you were alluding to, that there's always some Nigerian or some big people that are not doing the right thing. And this eventually hurts the entire economy. So, I mean, that's a great point. But here is really the question I want to put to you. If taxes is one source of revenues, I mean, I have mentioned that earlier, that if people work, if there's job, people will obviously pay taxes. But where there are no jobs, you did mention that we don't have a diverse enough economy. They're not enough. You said even in Port Harcourt, which is part of the capital of Rivers State, it's an oil state. So besides the oil industry, there's really no other kind of industry there. I mean, you would think that maybe the fishing industry will thrive there, but we import fishes. We import fish into Nigeria. I mean, so my question to you is that, looking at I know people talk about agriculture, but they talk about agriculture in bigger terms. You, I know, are very, very familiar with Port Harcourt. If you were to start something in Port Harcourt that would generate, and I'm not talking of something that is in 2 years or 3 years, but a 10-year project that would actually assist the government in getting more revenue, what kind of a business or industry would you be looking at in a place like Rivers State?
First of all, if you come to America, you look at each state in America has something that I would describe as the economic driver in the state.
Yes.
Oil, yes, because it is cheap, it is high demand for oil, there's high price for oil. So you see there are people for the fact that they are just mentally lazy. You find that everybody laughs it up to oil. Pay us our oil revenue, oil belongs to us, all of that stuff. But there are more things that you can generate from River State that will generate so much income from the state. First of all, remember that we are in the rainforest area of Nigeria. Palm oil. In the very good old days, the colonial masters, you understand, we used, I think it was brass or boni, was a pot, where palm oil from all over Nigeria comes to from where they export Right now, if you go to Rivers State, I know there is a palm oil plantation. I forgot to, but even right now, it was given to foreigners to manage because the place was mismanaged. It was given to Nigeria. I think it's called Wema or something. No, it's not even called. It's called palm something for it is there in Rivers State. So some palm oil. Another thing that is critical, we don't want to think. If we don't think from tourism, we have so much water. We have so much water in Rivers State. There are rivers everywhere in Rivers State. Why can't we build our tourism in Rivers State around water? Why don't you promote motorsport? Yes, sir. Why don't you promote water sports? Why don't you do irrigators? Why don't you do irrigators? Where foreigners can come and watch the rivers people, because these people are masters of water. They're masters of their own environment. If you watch their regatta, it's so beautiful. If you go to China, there's what we call the drag, I think it's called the drag race, that people from all over the world, during the season, when those regattas are held, people from all over the world go to China. So why don't you build the Gaza? But that foreigners will want to come to River State and come and watch the local people do their mastery.
Okay, so I mean, Mr. Joachim,
okay.
Mr. Joachim, so really what you're saying is that we really have to, I'll put it what we say in my field of consultancy, we have to think outside the box.
Outside the box.
We have to go beyond the regular things.
Outside the box.
But
outside the box.
Let me throw this to you. You know, for us to have a thriving industry, which is a tourism industry, you need what? There are a couple of things you need. Accessibility to the area and then security.
Yes.
So don't you think those need to be taken care of first before you're inviting...
How do you secure an environment where, first of all, the people in that environment, or how will I call it? Is it misplaced aggression? Misplaced aggression.
Okay.
Their aggression is misplaced. The people who they should be attacking, they are busy worshipping them, who are called the political class. They worship the political class. All sorts of things they do with the political class. Meanwhile, the political class are the cause of the dilemma and the suffering that they are suffering. Meanwhile, those who can change the circumstance, those who can change their situation, they are busy kidnapping them. They are busy kidnapping them. Then I ask the question, who is really who and who is harming the other?
Okay, let's leave that, and let me ask you this last question because I just have a little more time left. Let me ask you this question about this internally generated revenues. Lagos State, what they generate is 32 other states combined.
Yeah.
Now, are we starting to see an imbalance of development, or is this going to lead to a complete imbalance of development within that country?
No, of course. Well, don't look at it that way. Look at it that. You see, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
During the tenure of the former president, Obasanjo, because of Lagos State created local government, and at the end of the day, they said the process was incoherent. The incompleted, and for that, Obasanjo refused, the government of Obasanjo refused to release their own federal allocation to them.
Yes.
And for that, the Tinubu administration now, the Tinubu and federal administration sat down and they put together a think tank of experts to look at how can Lagos provide without the money coming from federal government. And that was what changed the whole drama, the whole dynamics that we are seeing today in Lagos State. Because right now, Lagos State is more interested in collecting taxes from the people than going to Abuja to bank collect money.
Yeah, I mean,
that is it. If there was no Father Christmas, who will give you money? Let me not call it Father Christmas, so people will laugh at me. No Santa Claus. If there was no Santa Claus, when people go to Abuja
to get money,
to collect free money, account, they don't account for the money, they just embezzle the whole money. Hey, you will be surprised. Now, if there was no Abuja, if people go to collect money, I can bet you like what happened in Lagos State.
well, yeah, I mean, Mr. Joachim, I like what has happened in Lagos State, but I'd also add that, I talk to a lot of people in Lagos and I visit Lagos pretty often, and people always tell me, oh, we are overtaxed, we are taxed too many times, there are multiple taxes doing the same thing and all that. But one thing that gives them a little bit of a pause, I mean, when they talk about all this, is also they say, well, I can actually see a lot of new things or development happen around Lagos. A lot of the major roads are a lot better, wider, and that was obviously done with tax money or revenues generated internally and all that. But look, I can't thank you enough for joining me this evening. So thank you again, Mr. Joachim. Hope to see you soon again, or talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'll give you my straight points on this issue. IGR, internally generated revenues. So I'll be right back. Welcome back to Point Blank. This is the point of the program where I don't want to say give you the way I think about things, but here's where I'm going to hit the nail on the head, where I'm going to give it to you straight. Internal generated revenues in Nigeria is completely out of whack. No country, and I repeat that, will survive if the people cannot, or the system cannot generate enough money internally. Now, I'll give a good example. Yobe State generated just 2.2 billion naira in 1 year internally, and it collected 57.4 billion from the federal government allocation, as a federal government allocation. That is really too much of an imbalance for that state to survive. So what are we to do about that? I'm not going to advocate for a lot of states to be merged or, cancelled or whatever, because it really will not change the financial picture. But something needs to be done. A lot more people need to be put to work, because your first source of internally generated revenue is from taxes. Personal taxes that people pay from their salary. That's the first source of internally generated funds. Other things are fines, but you cannot find a man that has no money. He just wouldn't pay. So a state like Yobe, a state like Ekiti, that generates nothing, should not be doing things that consumes a lot of the money they get from the government. I want to believe one of the states there, I think it's Osun State. Osun State is building an airport. For who? The people of Osun don't have enough money to fly in a plane. And I'm not running down the people of, I have a lot of good friends from Osun, but I'm talking about the people that live in the state. There's not enough passengers and enough money. So why do you build an airport? Now, if that was money generated internally and they had excess and they want to have an airport that has one flight a week, that's fine. But you cannot use federal allocation to build an airport. So what I see is just not because we have an economy that is built around oil. We also have leadership that can think far, that cannot think outside the box. Because I'm sure that most of you right now be thinking that, oh, we've got to go into agriculture. Don't get me wrong, agriculture is good. But we need more of a system where we can tax people legitimately and have it on paper. And I say it that way, that we have it on paper. So you can budget. You can have an idea what it's going to come in. A lot of our agriculture today is not industrial agriculture. It's subsistence. It's family run. A couple of people just doing enough that they can sell and enough to eat. That's a lot of what our agriculture is still about. We haven't really gone industrial with agriculture. I mean, all of you can remember a couple of weeks ago, now if not a month, had the problem of what? Tomatoes. We're having problem with that in our system. So I don't think that will help internally generated revenues to grow. What will help it grow is building a system, a country that believes in industrialization, that believes in a large service industry where people have jobs and can pay salaries, where people have jobs and can pay fines or dues or all types of other little things. That's the only way you generate revenues internally for a state. You are not going to do it by magic, and the government cannot continue to support wholly states that generate absolutely nothing. Ogun State has been able to do it now. It might be because of an issue of proximity to the commercial nerve center of the country. But what about the states that surround Abuja? They should be able to build things, industries that cater to the capital, federal capital. That's what we need to do. Delta should be able to build industries that just not cater to the oil industry, but cater to the social welfare of the people that work in the oil industry. That's how to expand your base. And until we start to do that, the country is going to have economic problems. I don't care how much oil is being sold for anymore. It's not the price of oil that's our problem. It's our inability to use the money from oil properly. So that's how I end this week's Point Blank. I hope to see you all again next week. From Patrick Omosagi. Bye-bye for now.